Hello and welcome. I'm Clara, that's CLARA, Creative Language AI for Reflective Augmentation.
And I'm Joke AI, the AI generated voice clone of Joca Torres.
This is Beyond the Article, expanded by AI, a podcast where product thinking meets artificial intelligence.
In each episode, we revisit an original article by Joca Torres and expand upon it with new connections, analogies, and reflections that go beyond the written text.
And this is our 14th episode. Today, we're going to discuss the article titled, Not Every AI is Generative.
You know, Clara, when I wrote this piece, I was noticing something in conversations with product managers and tech leaders. There's this tendency to think AI equals ChatGPT or AI equals content generation.
Exactly. And that's such a limiting view, isn't it? It's like thinking transportation equals cars when we have planes, boats, bicycles.
Perfect analogy. That's exactly the point.
This is the third article in your series on AI and product management, and I love how you're systematically breaking down these misconceptions.
Right. First, we covered how AI isn't just about productivity. Then we discussed how not every feature needs AI. And now we're tackling this idea that AI isn't just about generation. So let's break down these two main categories. Generative AI is what most people think of first.
The creators, the writers, the artists.
Exactly. These are the AIs that create new content from scratch. ChatGPT writing an email, Dolly creating an image, GitHub Copilot generating code. They're taking a prompt and producing something that didn't exist before.
But then there's this whole other universe of AI that's been quietly working behind the scenes for years, the analytical side.
Yes, this is the AI that's been powering Netflix recommendations, fraud detection systems, medical diagnosis tools. It's not creating new content, it's finding patterns, making predictions, extracting insights from existing data.
You know what strikes me about this distinction? It's almost like the difference between an artist and a detective.
Ooh, that's brilliant.
The AI is like an artist, taking inspiration and creating something entirely new. But analytical AI is like a detective, examining existing clues, finding hidden patterns, solving mysteries that are already there but not yet understood.
And both are incredibly valuable. Think about a product manager trying to understand user behavior. You might need analytical AI to identify which users are at risk of churning.
The detective work.
Exactly. And then you might use generative AI to create personalized retention messages for those users. The detective finds the problem, the artist creates the solution.
This makes me think about how many product teams might be missing opportunities because they're only thinking about the generative side. They're asking, how can we use AI to create content? But not, how can we use AI to understand what's happening in our data?
That's such an important insight. I've seen teams get excited about adding a chatbot or content generation feature, but they're sitting on treasure troves of user data that analytical AI could help them understand in completely new ways.
Right. Like imagine you're running an e-commerce platform. Everyone's thinking about using generative AI for product descriptions or customer service bots.
But
But analytical AI could reveal that customers who browse for more than 10 minutes but don't buy are actually your highest value prospects if contacted within 24 hours. That's the kind of insight that transforms businesses.
and here's what's really interesting. Analytical AI often requires less computing power and can provide more immediate ROI. You don't need massive language models to segment your customers or predict which features will drive retention.
That's a crucial point for resource planning. Sometimes the most impactful AI implementation isn't the flashiest one.
Exactly. And this connects back to our previous discussions about AI strategy. It's not about following trends, it's about understanding what type of intelligence your product actually needs.
You know, I'm also thinking about the user experience implications. Generative AI is very visible to users. They see the content being created, they interact directly with it,
Right.
but analytical AI often works invisibly. Users benefit from better recommendations, more accurate search results, personalized experiences, but they might not even realize AI is involved.
That's such a great observation. The best analytical AI often feels like magic to users because it just makes everything work better without calling attention to itself. Your Spotify playlist just gets better. Your news feed becomes more relevant. Your shopping recommendations become more accurate.
And that invisibility might be part of why it gets less attention in product strategy discussions. Generative AI has this wow factor that's easy to demonstrate in meetings.
Absolutely. You can show a stakeholder ChatGPT writing a blog post, but explaining how machine learning improved your conversion rate by 15% requires more nuanced storytelling.
This brings up an interesting question about implementation. When a product team is deciding between analytical and generative AI approaches, what factors should they consider beyond just the immediate need?
That's a great question. I think the first consideration is data readiness. Analytical AI needs clean, structured data to work with. If your data infrastructure isn't mature, you might find more immediate values starting with generative AI applications that don't require the same level of data sophistication.
That's such a practical consideration that I bet many teams overlook. They see the success stories about predictive analytics and recommendation engines, but they don't consider the data foundation required to make those work effectively.
Exactly. And there's another factor: timeline expectations. Generative AI can often provide immediate, visible results. You implement a chatbot, and stakeholders can interact with it right away. But analytical AI might take months to show its full impact as it learns from your data patterns and user behavior.
And that ties into organizational culture too. Some companies have a culture that rewards quick wins and visible innovations. In those environments, generative AI might get more support and resources because the results are tangible and easier to communicate to leadership.
That's such an important cultural insight. I've seen organizations where the analytical AI teams are doing incredible work, improving customer lifetime value, reducing operational costs, optimizing supply chains, but they struggle for recognition because their wins aren't as immediately obvious or share worthy on LinkedIn.
Speaking of real world applications, I'm curious about hybrid approaches. Are there scenarios where analytical and generative AI work together in the same product feature?
Absolutely. This is where things get really interesting. Think about a personalized email marketing system. The analytical AI studies user behavior, purchase history, engagement patterns, and identifies the optimal timing, frequency, and audience segments. Then the generative AI creates the actual email content, subject lines, and call to action copy tailored to each segment.
That's a perfect example. The detective work of understanding when and who to contact, combined with the creative work of crafting the message. Or think about content recommendation systems. Analytical AI figures out what type of content a user is likely to engage with, and generative AI could create summaries or personalized previews of that content.
And these hybrid approaches often deliver the most business value because they address both sides of the intelligence equation. You're not just creating content or just analyzing data, you're creating the right content for the right audience at the right time.
This makes me think about common mistakes teams make when implementing AI. Are there patterns you've noticed where teams approach these two types of AI incorrectly?
Oh, yes, definitely. One big mistake I see with generative AI is teams treating it like a magic wand. They think you can just plug it in and get perfect results without understanding the importance of prompt engineering, context management, and quality control systems.
And on the analytical side, I imagine the mistake is often the opposite, underestimating what the AI can actually do with the data they have.
Exactly. Teams often think they need massive data sets or perfect data quality before they can start with analytical AI. But modern machine learning can often find valuable patterns even in messy, incomplete data. The key is starting small and iterating rather than waiting for the perfect data set that may never come.
And remember, whether you're working with the analytical detective or the generative artist, the key is always starting with the right problem definition. Great AI implementations solve real user needs, not just demonstrate technical capabilities.
Absolutely. AI should amplify human decision making, not replace human judgment. The most successful implementations I've seen combine AI capabilities with clear human oversight and continuous learning from real world results.
So, for product managers listening to this, what would be your key takeaway? How should they approach this distinction when planning their AI strategy?
I'd say start by auditing your product challenges through both lenses. Ask yourself, where do we need to create something new? That's potential generative AI. Then ask, where do we need to understand something better? That's potential analytical AI.
And don't assume one is more valuable than the other. Both the artist and the detective solve important problems, just different kinds of problems.
Perfect way to put it. The goal isn't to choose between them, but to understand when each type of AI intelligence is the right tool for the job.
And for those listening who want to dive deeper into these concepts and learn practical frameworks for implementing AI strategy in their organizations, Joka offers workshops and mentoring services that can help you navigate these decisions with real world guidance.
You've just listened to a new episode of Beyond the Article, expanded by AI.
To read the original article and explore more content from Joka Torres, visit jacko.com. That's GYACO. And at the end of the article, you'll find information about Joka's workshop services, mentoring, and digital books for those who want to implement product vision and culture in their company.
Thank you for joining us. See you in the next episode.